Hi guys, this is ICO TV. My name is Dushan. We are still on Malta Blockchain Summit, and I'm talking to CEO of the company called Digimax. Hi.
Hi, how are you? It's actually Digimax Global Solutions, and we are called that because we actually operate on all corners of the globe. Yeah.
So I just spoke to your team. You are around the world on the conferences, and you are on the forefront of so-called STO revolution. Can you tell me what is security token offering and what are you providing?
Sure. Well, I wouldn't call it so-called. The security tokens are very real, and they're finally this whole token industry growing up, as far as I'm concerned. My associates and I have been doing this for a couple of years. They've been involved in it for about 4 years, and I've been around the security industry with common shares for 35 years. Okay? And all it really is taking all the benefits of tokens, and there are many, we can chat about it, and bringing them into a regulatory compliant world. ICO Max was our former company before we renamed it Digimax, and the whole purpose that ICO Max had was to find companies willing to operate in a 100% regulatory compliant manner. Now the world is forcing that. The world of utility tokens and ICOs is just about dead unless they're being used truly for transactions between businesses and customers. But the world of security tokens as a way of raising money for capital for a company to operate, that's very real. And it's just getting started, and it's going to grow very, very rapidly.
I'd like to ask you about definition of security token, right? Security token is mandatory equity-backed token, or can be any other economic right. For example, right to the profits or any other right, it's as long as it's regulated.
Well, exactly, and it's actually, in my mind, it goes the other way around. The regulators of the world, US SEC being probably the most famous, but every country has a regulator, and the regulators consider a security to be any situation where a company has a future promise to a shareholder or an investor, okay? So in this case, a security is exactly as you described. It's either a share of revenue or a share of profit or a share of equity, or a combination of those things. You also are getting tokens that are called STOs or security tokens that are asset-based, like a piece of real estate, a piece of a gold mine, things like that that may not have a lot of annual cash flow, but they have an asset, and you're buying a small piece of that asset, and that asset gets, quote, tokenized. You know, so let's say you take $1 million of gold and you issue 1 million tokens. Well, and you can buy one token. You now own a $1 of that physical gold, and it will go up and down in price at the same rate that the gold does. You know, if you buy it in a company, it'll go up and down with the value of the company. But it's a security because the company issuing has an obligation to give you something in the future. Okay, so that's what a security is.
And eventually, what do you think? What tokenization of securities will bring to the market? Higher liquidity for the companies or anyone issuing security tokens?
Okay, so the reason I believe security tokens are going to be very successful is they're beneficial to both the issuer, the company, and to the investor. The reason they're beneficial to the company is if they're not a public company yet, they don't have lots of quarterly reporting and all the obligations. Once you issue a token, you will have future obligation to report, but you will become what's called, at least in North American terms, it's called a reporting issuer. It's different than a public company. So a reporting issuer has an obligation to report basic information either every quarter or twice per year, every semi-annually, okay? But the amount of information required, it should be audited, but it's not a high volume. As soon as you become publicly listed, the volume of information goes up tenfold. So it's easier for a company to become a reporting issuer with a security token than it is to become a publicly listed company. So that's the benefit. And by the way, it's also usually faster and cheaper by a little bit than it is to do an IPO for a public company. On the side of the investor wins in a couple of ways. Most of the security tokens that are business-based are going to have a share of revenue, so they're going to get a dividend based on sales, not based on profit. And it's a lot easier for a company to generate revenue at the top line than it is to generate profit at the bottom line. So they're going to dividend way faster than if they bought a common share. And secondly, they do get equity. Not right out of the gate, but for instance, one of our clients has a great mechanism where they are are doing is they are converting to common equity if there's a change of control, meaning if they do an IPO and they go public, or if another company comes along and buys them, the token holders automatically convert to 20% equity of the company. So as that token starts to trade on an exchange, and they'll trade next few months, the token will go up in value. The token will go up in value based on both the value of the company growing and that equity conversion rate going up, as well as the sales and the dividends going to go up. So everybody wins.
Okay, but obviously there are clear advantages of security tokens. So if there are no disadvantages, and you will tell me if there are any, so eventually in many, many years all equities will be tokenized or not?
It's one more financial instrument in the world of financial instruments. It's not a derivative because it's not like an option. It's a true core financial instrument. But yeah, I do believe it will take a big place in the world, but I'm not predicting it will take over. Everybody can use their own number. Based on my research and our company's research, we use a number of $1.5 trillion per year is issued in the public capital markets. Okay, I believe that because of the benefits that I've described of security tokens, and as long as the industry stays compliant for a change and flies straight and is 100% regulatory compliant, I think that security tokens can take up 20 to 30% of that number. 1.5 trillion times 30% is $500 billion a year of security tokens. Okay, it can become a huge industry, and they're very real. They're good for the issuer and good for the investor. So I think they're going to be here to stay. And our company, Digimax, which is about to become a public company, which trade in Toronto in the next month or so, we are one of the leaders on a global basis of bringing STOs, good quality STOs, to market. Right? One of the other things about security tokens, kind of like public companies, there will always be startups, don't have any revenue yet, who can do a good job of these, but the majority of issuers of security tokens will be companies that already have proven revenue, proven repeat customers, and a business model that's highly scalable. And what we do as Digimax is we bring those types of companies through to registered broker-dealers and through to registered sellers as a way of making sure that the deal is 100% compliant. Here's another testament to how much interest there is in this market. I was talking to one of the key organizers of this conference yesterday. Just as little as 2.5 weeks ago, they had 3,500 people signed up for this conference. They had a goal of 5,000. There's over 7,000 people at this conference. Clearly, the crypto world and the coin world is getting very popular and very interesting again, just judging by the number of participants. But they're here because of security tokens, not because of ICOs and utility tokens. So just that's one example of what's happening in this industry. So if you believe that the market is always going to be here and there's like $300 to $500 billion a year, we think that Digimax as a company can be one of the leaders. Even if we have 1% market share in underwriting and helping these deals get done, our company can grow massively. And our whole objective is to always offer any issuer global distribution. If you want to sell a token, don't sell it just in one city. Let us help you sell it in 10 cities around the world. 100% regulatory compliant, that's rule number one, but let us help you get all that global distribution. And the other thing that is, once you do it right, you can go back to the market and do Series 2, Series 3, Series 4, okay? Because your values are going to continue to grow, and there's always going to be a liquid market for the investors to trade these tokens. So Digimax is a leader in this.
And okay, Digimax is a Canada-based company, and what about other countries, for example, I don't know, a startup or the company that would like to tokenize their equity, they can come to you and you, I mean, what is the legal framework for that company based in Germany, for example?
Alrighty. So we are right now operating in 8 different centers around the world through our affiliates. And we are setting up what we call joint venture affiliates. And eventually, within the next 2 years, they will be Digimax companies that are actually registered as broker-dealers as well. So we will be global. And currently, as of today, we're operating in Korea, Singapore, Hong Kong, Canada, US, England, Switzerland, and right here in Malta.
And this means that companies from these countries can be tokenized using Digimax?
Absolutely. And you can come to us and we can help you operate out of any of those countries. But we're adding countries all the time. Just an hour and a half ago, I think we found ourselves a new JV partner in Germany. We're going to be adding Barbados. We're going to be adding probably Moscow in the not too distant future. We're looking at talking to somebody in India, okay, and actually in Philippines as well. And our whole goal is is that our partners will operate these offices in their countries, and they will do it in a regulatory compliant way because they will be registered broker-dealers or whatever the definition is in that country. But we are creating a new company that will be controlled by Digimax so that the public company of Digimax will have consolidation of all of these companies, and each of those new companies that we're creating will become its own registered broker-dealer. So we'll be one of the few companies, if not the only company in the world, servicing security tokens that will be registered to do business in 12 different cities around the world. We truly will be a global investment bank.
I was just in LA last week, and there was the guy from Spice Capital speaking, and he said the industry is here, the security token industry is here, but the ecosystem, it might be, just emerging from zero, basically. The exchanges, okay, they will issue the tokens, where it's going to be traded, and so on. What do you think about the ecosystem? Is it ready already for this kind of revolution?
Yeah. So I've been saying since I got involved in this a couple of years ago that the rules and the laws already existed. They're called securities laws. And what we've done is we've designed the tokens around the existing laws. So is the market ready? Absolutely. I deal with institutional investors every day, and they understand this world too because they're used to investing under securities laws. So there's a marketplace. Now, what is the new part is where do STOs or where do security tokens trade, okay? We have utility tokens trading on 100 different exchanges around the world, 5 big ones plus a whole bunch of little ones. Now it's about the country laws and the countries announcing that they will accept security tokens on these exchanges. About 3 weeks ago, Switzerland announced this. I think Malta's about 6 months away. Hong Kong just put out a white paper yesterday that hopefully within the next month to 2 months, their securities regulators will allow the trading of security tokens. Listen, security tokens are way less risky than the utility tokens were. So if they were allowing utility tokens to trade, it's really easy for them to turn around and allow security tokens to trade. And as long as you are compliant with existing securities laws, of course they should be allowed to trade. Because in fact, what it really comes down to is there's no law preventing them from trading on a regular exchange.
And I have the last question. I've heard you saying just before, like ICOs, and you associate ICO, the name, the brand ICO, with utility tokens, while there are like some theories that ICO is just the umbrella brand for all token or coin, issuings, like also STOs, TG, ITO, ITS, everything can be considered as ICO. What do you think?
I agree with you 100%.
Thanks a lot, because I'm ICO TV and I am positioning myself as a blockchain startup interview channel, so I'm not necessarily utility token.
No. So here's what you do. You don't fight the market, right? So I agree. The definition of an ICO, initial coin offering, applies to a security token as well. But the market is telling us they don't like the term anymore. The utility token world grew out of crowdfunding. Crowdfunding, the regulators didn't pay attention to that when they're raising $1 million to...
They don't like the term for what? There is a term, there is a brand. They don't like the term for what? To describe STO, or they don't like the brand, or...
No, the marketplace, the global marketplace, whether it's investors, regulators, retail investors, institutional investors, they have grown up now in the last 2 years associating an ICO, the term ICO, with utility token. I agree the true definition of an ICO is not a utility token, but it doesn't matter. The market associates those two terms as being the same, so people have to abandon the use of the term ICO if they want to succeed in the marketplace. We had to abandon ICO Max. We replaced it with Digimax. We were looking at replacing it with Crypto Max, but as all my joint venture partners have pointed out, hey, we're 100% regulatory compliant. Everything we're doing for security tokens, we can also do for common shares. We have the same network. It's the same thing. It's just these vehicles, these financial instruments, have slightly different characteristics. There's still a huge demand for common shares. Digimax is going public, issuing common shares. I'm a huge believer, but I'm also a believer in the tokens. And you can do both. Digimax, a year from now, might issue its own security token. It's going to have different attributes than our common shares. It will take a small bite out of the common shares, but we can raise capital that way to do more and grow faster. So I'm a believer of both types of instruments. But ICO, unfortunately, is a term that the world doesn't like anymore.
We'll see. I'm still sticking to the brand because it's already established brand. brand, but I knew already in January when I was in Miami in one conference, there was a Trevor from Polymath speaking, and of course he already announced in January that ICOs are the past and SEOs are coming, but I'm still sticking to the old brand name because it's already a brand. Can brand have a negative? It's a philosophical question already, negative connotation.
Let me tell you, there's a couple of great companies that come to mind that had great products and they stuck to it. One of those was Kodak and one of those was Polaroid, and they stuck to their guns because they believed in it. And, if you don't change with the world doesn't wait for you. So you got to think about that.
I think about it. Thanks a lot, Chris. Thanks a lot.
Really, cheers. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks. This is it, guys. Was really interesting discussion. Follow our channel for more interesting interviews, and until bye-bye from Malta. Bye.